Okay, everybody, here we go. It's me, Gregory Mannarino, Wednesday, May 17, 2023. I'm laughing already. I'm already laughing. Pre-market report. Let's talk about some of the economic data that we got. Let's start off with housing starts. So apparently there's some good news here. I'm laughing. Why am I laughing? Just sit back and just take this in for a second. So apparently in April, housing starts did put on a gain of 2.2%. However, let's look at the previous month. They told us the same kind of thing, although that number was revised lower by 4.5%. Even when they fake the data, they have to still twist it. Again, you cannot rely on a single data point coming out of this freaking freak show. I hate even talking about it because it's just too much, honestly. So on the back of this housing start, whatever the freak it is here, mortgage demand drops yet again. Now, this is also kind of interesting as well. And you know what? Take this in for just a moment, and I want to hear from you. So, food prices in the UK, it is being reported on average, and I want to hear from my friends in the UK, have gone up 100%. I don't know if it's that bad here in the United States. I would say certain things have gone up 100%. I'm a soda addict. Okay, I drink soda all day. I know it's bad. I do try to offset that with drinking a lot of water. But I can tell you that soda off the discount rack did go up 100%. That's a fact. It was $1. Now it's $2. So I don't know. I want to hear from you. What are you seeing where you live, anywhere in the world, with regard to food inflation? What do we know about food inflation? And we have discussed it repeatedly right here on this blog, that food inflation would outpace everything else, which it has been doing, and it will go higher and higher. We are not done. Now, what they do, again, talking about data, when they're reporting or talking about inflation, they strip out food and they strip out energy. Why do they do that? Well, it's a grand manipulation in my view, because they want you to believe that the rising of food prices and the rising of energy prices, these are transitory. They're temporary. So let's just take them out of the equation. Let me ask you, do you believe, seriously, that the rising prices of food and energy is just temporary or transitory? I don't think so. We've been hearing that word a lot lately. Speaking of that, so what did we find out last week? The European Central Bank said specifically that inflation would persist. Now, okay, so we get an admission out of the European Central Bank. The Bank of England is using the same exact word, persist. Inflation will persist. Where are we not hearing this from? The Federal Reserve, who, fist fed us, double fist fed us right deep in the heart of the gabagool. Yeah, that it was going to be temporary, transitory. Janet Yellen said the same thing. It's incredible here. But again, how can they get away with this? Because there's no accountability. Zero. I think we all know that. So let's just summarize real quick. Housing starts just happened to gain in April, although we heard the same story the month prior, but they revised that negative lower by 4.5%, which will get the same thing here because it's fake. Our economy is dead. They want us to believe that industrial production is picking up. No one saw that coming. How about, because it never happened here, we have become an import nation. We don't make a damn thing. Factory activities, it's over. And the Fed is continuing to pressure the economy. It's not going to stop on a global level. You know that. So again, that's the housing starts issue. Mortgage demand drops again. Here's another one. Consumer loan delinquencies continue to rise. Oh, really? Oh, no one could have imagined that happening. People are being choked to death now. What does this mean? What's the bigger picture? Let's step back for just a freaking moment here. What do we know is going on? Not only did the banks, and we discussed this right here like 9 months ago now, no deposits, no loans, and no deals. And any loans they were making are now a lot of them are being defaulted on. So these banks are in a lot of trouble. Forget about just the regional banks, all right? And the fact that Jim Cramer, was it just yesterday, said that Wells Fargo is sound. Well, to me, that it sounds like I'd be willing to bet that Wells Fargo is the first big bank that's going to go down. That's just my take on it. Jim is reading a script as well here. Unfortunately, he's become he's definitely not a part of any kind of solution here. In my view, the man has simply become a sellout, and that's pretty sad, I guess, but whatever. And you can see, if you watch Jim Cramer on the show, if any of you out here play poker, look at his body language. It doesn't fit. He doesn't want to look at the camera, looking down, kind of like avoiding. You can see that kind of like it just doesn't add up in my view. All right. Anyway, food inflation out of control, but this is nothing spectacular, nothing I think that you and I didn't expect. And with regard to energy, people, just sit back, because there is no doubt in my mind whatsoever that energy prices are going to soar higher. Just give it a little bit of time here, and it's going to get very, very ugly. Moving forward, I would be willing to go out on a limb here and say at the end of this year, energy prices are going to be much higher than they are right now. And of course, I mean, what does it mean in the grand scheme of things is the purchasing power of the dollar, other fiat currencies, is going to continue to get sucked out. And at a much faster pace than ever before. Again, understand how this works. Okay, we understand the last several presidents here have borrowed from the Fed and have empowered the Fed more so than all the way going back to freaking George Washington, okay, before there was a central banking system. But the national debt has ballooned under the last several presidents faster than you could possibly imagine. But that has to happen. You understand that. Every president must outspend the one before him just to keep the system going here. This whole debt ceiling issue, the repeated warnings from this thing, Yellen staying, sounding the alarm on this whole thing. The promise that we have to promise to borrow more from the Fed to make sure they stay at the top of that freaking pyramid here. I say no. I say shut the whole damn system down. Shut the system down, okay? Really, that's what we need to do to take it back. You need to end it first. Yes, there will be a lot of pain. I talked about this yesterday, but it must go. It has to be shut down. And we can start it off right now with defaulting on the debt. I say, let's freaking default. Anyway, with that said, let us go look over at the market here. So stock futures this morning are higher, okay, pointing towards a higher open. Trading doesn't start for 31 minutes from the time I am doing this lovely video blog. Okay, with that said here, you got the 10-year yield higher. You got the whole yield curve higher here. Okay, that's a problem. Okay, risk in the market is rising. The relative strength of the dollar lately has been on a tear. We are higher this morning as well. Gold and silver under a little pressure this morning. Cryptocurrencies are kind of mixed. The bigger ones are under a little bit of pressure. The smaller ones catching a bid here. Okay, whatever. Crude oil is roughly flat this morning. So that's where we stand here and now. Let's see how this plays out today. It's going to be interesting, honestly. What else did I want to talk to you about? So again, I want to hear from you on these things. So mortgage demand falls. Are you surprised about that? Consumer loan delinquencies on the rise, continue to rise. Despite the fact that people are now spending less, they've maxed themselves out. Credit card debt is at a new record high, $17 trillion now. $17 trillion. That's an astronomical freaking number here. And I want to hear from you with regard to food inflation. Again, this is something we've spoken about a lot. What are you seeing in aggregate where you live, wherever that may be in the world? Does it look like it's getting better to you? Do you think there's anything on the horizon that tells you that food prices are about to get better or inflation is going to start to get better here? No, I can't imagine that, but maybe some of you can let me know what you see. And this just the last thing I want to cover real quick. Now, yesterday I touched on this real quick. Do you realize, I want you to ponder what I'm about to tell you. It now costs more cash to service the debt here in the U.S. than we spend on national defense. Do you think that is sustainable? Or do you think we've reached that moment of maximum saturation where the first thing that would happen would be rising inflation here, and the rest of it is just a matter of time before it all just comes apart? I think you would have to agree with the latter here. All right, people, look, this guy loves you a lot. I'm going to end this video now. I will see all of you 1:05 p.m. Pacific time. For my live stream. All right, looking forward to it. Have some questions for me, and well, we'll sum this all up. It's freaking out of control. All right, see you later.